Okay, so this Yarn Scrap Friday, we really are going Yarn Scrap Friday. So as you can see here, I have a ton of proper yarn scraps and we're going to be making some yarn scrap monsters. So this has accumulated over probably only a few months, but what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time just separating the different bits out. We've got some more substantial balls of yarn here and some random old projects, which I think we'll put to the side for now. So I'm going to separate the little balls of yarn and these longer pieces. This is quite a long piece. I need more of a better example. Let's say this piece here, we're going to put that in a separate pile, the longer pieces. And then if we have any really short pieces like this, we're going to use these for stuffing. So we're going to put those in a separate pile as well. So we have 3 piles. We have more substantial balls of yarn, some longer pieces we're going to crochet with and tie together, and some little bits we're going to use for stuffing. So, and then random projects I think we'll just put to the side, little failed things. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go through all of this and separate it out into these different piles and then make some little monsters, I think. Okay, so now we've got 3 main piles. We have these more sort of substantial balls, which I'm going to put to the side. I think we can save those for another project. These are sort of longer pieces that we're going to tie together, and we have the ones which are just really too short that we can't really do much with, and we're going to use that for stuffing. And I also had some like random old projects, so we'll put those aside as well. But we're going to take the yarn group in the middle, and what we want to do now is kind of select similar weight yarns and choose your colours. So I want my little yarn monster to be quite colourful. Got quite a lot of yellow here. So, and I happen to have some of this chenille yarn, which is brilliant. So I'm going to pick some of that out along with some of this kind of chunky acrylic that I've got. And once you've selected your colours and weights, so like this thinner piece here, we're going to put that aside. We're probably not going to use that. Same with this sort of quite thin green. And so I'm going to find similar weight yarns, and then what we want to do is take 2 pieces and we're just going to knot them together. We're going to keep this quite casual and easy. So we're going to start off with a normal knot, and I'm starting with the right hand side over the top of the left hand side like this. Maybe it'd show up better if I do the blue actually. It's going to be bedraggled, this blue, but over the top. So the right hand side is over the top of the left, and we're just going to do a normal knot. So bring the blue over, and then we want to do the opposite. We want the left hand side to go over the top of the right hand side and then feed that through and do a knot. So you've got 2 knots, and what that does is because you alternated the direction, when you pull it pretty much won't come undone, and then we can just trim down the excess. So I'm going to do that for all the pieces that I have. So I'm going to take the yellow, and again right over the top to begin, fold that over, and then left over the top. And that's also a trick when you do your shoelaces as well, they don't come undone as often. So left over the top for the second one, and then pull that nice and tight, and then I need to get some scissors and just trim down the excess. Okay, so I'm going to do that for some nice chenille yarn, and I think some of the chunky acrylics I have, and we're going to create like a little ball of yarn basically for our yarn monster. Maybe I can squeeze this one in, maybe that's okay. Okay, so I've tied all these together, all the sort of similar weights, and I've kept some of the black separately. I think that might be too dark, but we can always use that for something else. And then these ones, which are the thinner yarns, I'm just going to put to the side for the future. And all I need to do now is, now I've done my little knots, is you can just trim down up to the knot, and they should be pretty strong enough for a little cute character anyway. Obviously if you pull really hard it's going to come undone, but we're just going to do quite a simple job just like that. I'm going to do that all the way along, and then we're just going to create a little ball of yarn to start crocheting with, basically. We can use these bits for stuffing, add that to the stuffing pile. I just had to add a little bit of this green, even though it's a really tiny amount, because that's such a gorgeous colour. But one thing I wanted to mention was this chenille yarn, as you can see, does not fray and go absolutely everywhere. It's so brilliant. It's one of my favourite yarns to work with. And this video is not sponsored, but I'm going to tell you what it is. It's called Cuddly Craft DK, and it's by Crochet Society. So yeah, if you want a nice furry yarn that just doesn't fray every time you cut it, and is surprisingly easy to crochet with, then I highly recommend it. Cuddly Craft DK. So there you go. Almost there. Okay, so now I have trimmed down all those little bits. We're going to create a little thumb cake, and to do that we're just going to put our yarn diagonally from bottom to top around our thumb, and we're just going to start wrapping around our thumb gently. Don't cut off your circulation, and just wrap it from bottom to top diagonally. And so we're just going to move it around as it builds up. Doing that creates a little thumb cake. Just move it around. It's looking so colourful. Okay, so just coming up to the end, we'll just tuck that end in and then take it off your thumb carefully. And now we have an adorable little very multicoloured thumb cake, and we're going to use the yarn that we started off with to crochet from, and that just pulls out nice and easily from the middle. Okay, so now let's actually crochet a little yarn scrap monster. So with this yarn, it's kind of like a chunky yarn, but I'm going to use a 4mm crochet hook. We're going to need some stuffing, so we're going to need some of our scraps for stuffing. A pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and also some toy safety eyes. So I've got some small little safety eyes here, so I think a couple of those will be great. I think these are 5mm, I think. But you can use black yarn as well if you want to. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so let's start off with a chain 4 loop. I've designed a little character, and you need about 8 meters, which is about 300 inches of your homemade yarn. So this is actually more than I need, so that's good. So we'll do a little slip knot. And we're going to chain 4. Let's see if I can make that a bit smaller actually, so we really save on our yarn. It's a bit better. Okay, chain 4. Let's move our stuffing and eyes out of the way. Chain 4, chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to put our hook into our first chain, bring the yarn through and try and avoid your little knots. And bring it straight through the loop on your hook. Let's try that again. I've got a knot in a very inconvenient place. Through the first chain and then through the loop on your hook. Okay, so we've got a little loop of chains. You could do a magic ring as well if you wanted to. And into there, we're going to work 7 single crochets. So this pattern's in US terms. So in UK terms, that's going to be 7 double crochet. We're going to do a little chain 1 first, just for leverage. And then going into the center, be careful not to go into your first chain, right into the center, wrapping it around your chains. We're going to do a single crochet. Okay, we want 7 of those. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6. Let's see if I can just pull that knot to the back. 6 and one more, 7. Okay, so 7 single crochet. And what we're going to do then is we're just going to bring up a loop. I'm going to use a stitch marker. Just put that into that last half of that last stitch, so we know where the beginning and the end of our round is. Okay, so we've got 7 single crochet. We're not going to join our rounds. We're going to go straight into our first single crochet over here, and we're going to do 2 single crochet. So 2 single crochet in there. So that's 1 and another one in the same stitch, then 2 in the next stitch. I'm going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch around, so we end up with a stitch count of 14. Okay, always trying to keep your little knots on the back, on the inside. Okay, so 2 in there, 2 in the next stitch. Okay, going up to the last stitch, 2 single crochet in there as well, 1 and 2. Okay, a little bit hard to see with the fluffy yarn, but I've done 2 single crochet in each stitch around, so now we have a stitch count of 14. And we can remove our stitch marker and place it in our new stitch. And I can't believe how many colours I've already crocheted through. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 14. And we're going to do that for 2 rounds, so rounds 3 and 4. And if you are working with a fluffy yarn, all you need to do, it's very hard to see the stitches, but just stay close to your previous stitch. And you should be able to just put your hook into the next stitch, even if you can't see it. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Let's stay close to our previous stitch. Keeping a stitch count of 14. I'm going to do that for 2 rounds. Okay, 2 rounds. Okay, coming up to the end of the second round, 13 and 14. Okay, so I've done 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I've done that for 2 rounds and we still got a stitch count of 14. I'm just going to move my stitch marker up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create some little arms. So we're going to start off with 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So 1, try and keep those knots at the back, 2 and 3. Then we're going to chain 4, so chain 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then your second chain from your hooks, we don't count the loop on a hook. There's our first chain, there's our second, trust me. We're going to do a slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into there and then slip stitch in the remaining 2. So slip stitch in the next stitch and slip stitch in the last chain as well. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So 1 single crochet in the next 7. We do the same thing again. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. We slip stitch in our second chain from our hook and in the remaining 2 chains back to the main circle. So 1, 2 and 3. Okay, and then we should have 4 stitches left. I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the last 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, that's the end of that round. We can move our stitch counter, stitch marker up. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and we're going to be skipping those arms, the chains and the slip stitches. So we start off with 1 single crochet in the first 3. So 1, 2 and 3. And then we're going to skip the arm. So to do that, we're going to find the next stitch, which is here. Bring the yarn through, and then we're just going to pop the arm in between our loops on our hook so it sits at the front. Give it a little tug, and we're going to do a single crochet. So we skip the little arm, And now we're going to do 1 single crochet after that one in the next 6 up to the next arm. So is that going into the same stitch? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and we do the same thing again. We find the next stitch, so it's that grey, put our hook into there and grab the yarn, and then we bring our little arm through those 2 loops on our hook, then pull your yarn and finish the single crochet. And then we should have 3 stitches left, so we single crochet in the last 3. So when you do get a knot, if you haven't knotted it, what I try and do is always grab the yarn either side of the knot. So this side I'm grabbing it here, and then I'm trying to keep that knot on the back, and then grabbing the other side. So I'm hiding all the knots on the inside as best I can, like this. Whoops, don't rip it. And then 2 more. Single crochet in there and single crochet in there. Okay, so that's the end of that round, and we've got a cute little pink and yellow arm, which is very sweet. Now we're just going to do 1 round, move our stitch marker, 1 round of just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So we're keeping a stitch count of 14. Okay, 1, 2, okay, just coming up to the last stitch. 14. Okay, what we're going to do now is, I can't bring up a loop because there's a knot right there, but we're going to pick a side and we're going to put our little safety eyes. You can use black yarn if you want. I think I should put one about here. It's so cute. And I think maybe one about here. That looks about even, just about, a little bit lopsided. I think that'll do, it's fun. And then we're going to just secure those and then continue on. Do they look too wonky? I don't know, maybe they look too wonky, but I like it. So let's add the safety things on the back. Okay, so what we're going to do now is create some little feet. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 3, chain 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch in the same stitch as our previous single crochet. Okay, so you've got like a little picot there. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 11 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 8, 9. Actually, it'll be in the next 10, so not 11. Yes, in the next 10, not 11. So 10. So I'm just trying to line it up properly. And then we're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, and 3. And slip stitch in the same stitch as that previous single crochet, and then we do 1 single crochet in the last stitch. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're just going to close up our little character, just move our stitch marker up, and what we're going to do is add some stuffing at this point. So I recommend using similar coloured yarns to your little character, your little monster. We'll just add some stuffing. Okay, and then what we're going to do is just single crochet 2 stitches together until the end. So we go into the next stitch and into the next stitch. You can do an invisible decrease if you want, but if you're using chenille yarn, it's sometimes easier just to do a normal decrease. So we're just going to single crochet 2 stitches together until our little character is closed. Okay. Oh no, we're not skipping. Oh my gosh, completely forgot. We need to skip the feet. Oh my days. Okay, so coming up to the foot here, we go into the next stitch. Then we skip our chain 3. and go into and skip the slip stitch as well. So find your next single crochet, bring the yarn through there, and then just bring your little foot forward and single crochet those two together. Make sure that knot's on the inside. I'll be amazed if you follow along with this. This yarn's terrible. Okay, and then single crochet the next two together. Get that stuffing inside. You can always use normal stuffing if it's easier. Single crochet the next two together. I'll write the pattern up on the website, so hopefully that'll make it a bit easier. And single crochet these two together. And then we've got two left. We've got one just before the foot, and then that very last one here, and then pop the little picot forward, put it tight and close. Okay, and then that is pretty much it. We can cut our yarn, and we're just going to sew the remaining hole closed. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then come back. And there's a knot in the way, so I can't even bring that through. Oh my days. Okay, there we go. Managed to pull that little bit of yarn through. Need to create a big enough loop like so. Okay, then we can just sew our little monster, yarn monster. Let's get this stitch marker out of the way. Sew him the remaining hole closed. You can always add a bit more stuffing if you like. So we're just going to go into the next stitch, out through the next stitch, and drawstring it closed. So I might add a little bit more stuffing as well. So I shall do that, and then I shall come back. Okay, so there is our cute little yarn scrap monster, and I think what I might do is use some of this black yarn and just create a little mouth. You could leave him as he is if you want to. I created a little loop on the top as well. So I worked a little knot in the end, and just coming in from the back, it's going to come up about here, and that knot should just catch on the inside. Then I think let's go over to about here. And then we have a cute little mouth. And then I'm just going to hide this tail end. And that's it. And there we go. There's our adorable little yarn scrap monster, just literally made from our yarn scraps. And yeah, I probably didn't choose the best yarn to show on camera, but this was more about sort of just having fun with your yarn scraps. And I'll put the written pattern to this on the website if you want to check that out. But I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you managed to follow along and just listen to the instructions rather than the visuals, because this nightmare is not the easiest to work with on camera. But I will see you soon for some more crochet crafting fun. Thanks as always to our HappyBerry Plus members for helping make these tutorials possible, and to our new YouTube members as well. Huge thank you to you as well for signing up for some behind the scenes, and I will see you soon for some more crochet crafting fun. Thanks for watching. Bye.